The wrestling world has been thrown into chaos with reports emerging from backstage sources suggesting that Seth Rollins' injury situation has taken a concerning turn for the worse. Multiple insiders have been whispering about the former World Heavyweight Champion's condition, and what started as routine recovery talks has now escalated into something far more serious. If you're watching this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because you won't want to miss any updates on this developing story. Seth Rollins has been dealing with various physical setbacks throughout his career, but the current situation appears to be reaching a critical point that has WWE officials genuinely worried. The Visionary has been pushing through pain for months now, working matches despite clear physical limitations that anyone watching could see. His movements in the ring have been noticeably different, his signature high-flying offense has been toned down significantly, and veteran observers have pointed out that he's been protecting certain parts of his body during his performances. The rumors started circulating after Rollins was spotted leaving a prominent sports medicine facility in Birmingham, Alabama. This particular facility has a reputation for treating some of the most serious athletic injuries in professional sports, not just routine checkups or minor rehabilitation work. Sources close to the situation have indicated that the visit was not part of his regular treatment schedule, which immediately raised red flags among those monitoring his condition. When a wrestler makes an unscheduled visit to a facility of this caliber, it usually means something unexpected has developed. What makes this situation even more concerning is the timing. WWE is heading into one of the busiest periods of the year with major premium live events on the horizon. The company has been building several storylines that could potentially involve Rollins, and his absence or limited availability would force creative teams to scramble and rework months of planning. Television tapings have already been adjusted multiple times to accommodate his physical state, but there's only so much creative editing and careful match structuring can accomplish when dealing with a deteriorating injury. Rollins himself has been characteristically cryptic on social media, posting motivational quotes and images that could be interpreted in multiple ways. Some fans see these posts as evidence that he's fighting through adversity and will return stronger than ever. Others view them as subtle hints that he's preparing his audience for difficult news. The wrestling community has been dissecting every word, every emoji, every timestamp trying to figure out what's really going on behind the scenes. Backstage personnel have reported seeing Rollins in visible discomfort during recent appearances. Crew members who work closely with talent have noticed him grimacing between takes, spending extra time with medical staff, and having longer preparation periods before his segments. These small details might seem insignificant individually, but when pieced together they paint a picture of someone dealing with serious physical issues that go beyond the normal wear and tear of professional wrestling. The injury in question is believed to be related to his back, an area that has plagued him periodically throughout his career. Back injuries are notoriously tricky in professional wrestling because almost every move, every bump, every landing puts stress on the spine and surrounding structures. Unlike injuries to extremities that can be worked around with modified offense, a compromised back affects everything a wrestler does inside the ring. You can't take a body slam with a bad back, you can't lift an opponent safely with a bad back, you can't even execute basic running moves without risking further damage. WWE medical staff has reportedly advised Rollins to take extended time off for proper treatment and recovery, but there are complications with that recommendation. First, Rollins has always been known as someone who hates sitting on the sidelines. His work ethic is legendary within the industry, sometimes to his own detriment. Second, there are contractual and creative obligations that make stepping away more complicated than simply saying he needs rest. Third, and perhaps most importantly, there's the psychological aspect of watching storylines and opportunities pass by while recovering at home. Industry veterans have weighed in on the situation, with many expressing concern that Rollins might be approaching a crossroads in his career. Wrestling has a long history of performers pushing too hard for too long and ultimately causing permanent damage that could have been prevented with proper rest. Names like Edge, Daniel Bryan, and Stone Cold Steve Austin are frequently mentioned as examples of what can happen when injuries aren't given adequate time to heal. Edge missed 7 years of his career due to neck issues. Bryan retired temporarily because of concussion concerns. Austin's career was cut short because of a neck injury that was aggravated repeatedly. Nobody wants to see Rollins added to that list. The financial implications of this situation cannot be ignored either. Rollins is one of WWE's highest-paid performers, and the company has invested heavily in his continued presence on television. Merchandise sales, ticket sales for live events, and television ratings all factor into the equation when a top star's health is in question. WWE has insurance policies to cover some losses from injured talent, but there's no insurance policy that can replace the creative momentum and fan investment that gets lost when a major player is forced to step away. Fan reaction has been mixed with genuine concern dominating most online discussions. Social media platforms have been flooded with well-wishes and hopes for a speedy recovery. Wrestling fans might argue about everything else under the sun, but when it comes to the health and well-being of the performers they watch, there's usually a sense of unity. People want to see their favorites perform at the highest level, but not at the cost of their long-term health and quality of life after wrestling. Speculation about potential replacements in current storylines has already begun. Bookers and creative writers are reportedly working on contingency plans in case Rollins needs to be written off television for an extended period. These backup plans are never ideal because they disrupt the natural flow of storytelling, but they're necessary in an industry where injuries are an unfortunate reality. The challenge is creating something that feels organic rather than thrown together at the last minute because circumstances force to change. Rollins' peers have been privately expressing their support while publicly remaining mostly silent. The locker room has a code about discussing another wrestler's injury status before that person has addressed it themselves. It's considered disrespectful to speculate or share information that isn't yours to share. However, those close to Rollins have let it be known through back channels that they're concerned and hoping he makes the right decision for his future, whatever that decision might be. The medical evaluation process for an injury of this nature typically involves multiple specialists offering their opinions. Orthopedic surgeons, neurologists, physical therapists, and sports medicine doctors all contribute their expertise to determine the severity of the problem and the best course of action. Sometimes these experts disagree on treatment approaches, leaving the patient to make difficult choices between surgery, aggressive rehabilitation, or simply resting and hoping the body heals itself naturally. Surgery would mean months away from the ring, possibly longer depending on the specific procedure required. Rehabilitation without surgery could allow for a quicker return but might not fully address the underlying problem. Resting without intensive treatment might provide temporary relief but could leave the injury vulnerable to re-aggravation the moment Rollins returns to action. Each option comes with its own set of risks and potential benefits that must be carefully weighed. Rollins has reinvented himself multiple times throughout his career, adapting his style and character as needed. From his days as part of the Shield to his Monday Night Messiah phase to his current visionary persona, he's shown remarkable versatility and creativity. The question now becomes whether he'll need to reinvent his in-ring style to accommodate whatever physical limitations this injury might permanently impose. Many wrestlers have successfully transitioned to less physically demanding styles as their careers progressed, but it requires accepting a new reality about what your body can and cannot do. The training regimen required to maintain WWE's schedule is intense even for healthy performers. Multiple shows per week, constant travel, limited sleep, and the physical toll of performing night after night creates a grinding environment where injuries don't heal the way they would for someone with a normal schedule. Wrestlers often describe it as trying to recover from a car accident while immediately getting into another car accident the next day. The body never gets the extended rest it needs to properly repair damaged tissue. Rollins' legacy in professional wrestling is already secure regardless of what happens from this point forward. Multiple world championships, classic matches, influential storylines, and respect from peers and fans alike ensure that he'll be remembered as one of the greats of his generation. However, like any competitor at the top of their field, he likely still has goals he wants to accomplish and stories he wants to tell. The question is whether his body will allow him to achieve those remaining ambitions or if this injury will force him to accept that some chapters need to remain unwritten. The next few weeks will be crucial in determining the direction of this situation. WWE will need to make decisions about how to proceed with their creative plans. Rollins will need to have honest conversations with medical professionals, company officials, and probably most importantly, with himself about what he's willing to risk. His family will undoubtedly have input as well, knowing that decisions made now could affect his quality of life decades into the future. Wrestling history is filled with comeback stories of performers who overcame serious injuries to return better than ever. It's also filled with cautionary tales of those who came back too soon or pushed too hard and paid the price. Which category Rollins' story falls into remains to be seen, but everyone following this situation hopes it's the former rather than the latter. The industry needs healthy stars who can perform at their peak, not broken-down veterans hobbling through their final years because they didn't know when to step back and heal properly. As we wait for official word on Seth Rollins' condition and his plans moving forward, the wrestling community remains in a state of anxious anticipation. Every tweet, every backstage report, every minor detail gets analyzed for clues about what's really happening behind the curtain. This is the nature of being a fan in the modern era where information flows quickly but clarity remains elusive. We want answers, we want certainty, but sometimes all we can do is wait and hope that the right decisions are being made by those involved. The development of this story will have ramifications far beyond just one wrestler's career. It will influence booking decisions, contract negotiations, and how WWE approaches the physical management of their entire roster. If this situation results in Rollins needing extended time away, it could lead to policy changes about injury monitoring and mandatory rest periods. The company has already made strides in recent years regarding concussion protocols and general health screening, but there's always room for improvement when it comes to protecting the long-term well-being of the performers who make the shows possible. Make sure you stay subscribed to this channel for all the latest updates on Seth Rollins' injury situation and everything else happening in the world of professional wrestling because this story is far from over and you won't want to miss what happens next.